It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No immigration too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if we can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood and sisterhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world is one.
But what sort of angle do you take any angle at all?
My angle is what I am, you know. That's my angle, you know. And all the statements I make are in the songs or in the things I do.
Well, how can you think we change to make them happy?
Well, you can change people, you know, or change their heads.
Can
So, yeah, I've changed a lot of people's heads. A lot of people have changed my head. Just with their records, and it's apart from anything else they do.
It just change all the time, so
Yeah, but, you know, I believe you can change, you know, that's what Yoko and my scene is, to change it like that.
But aren't you sort of preaching to the converted? Because the only people who are going to be influenced by you are people who are sort of fairly reasonable. Halfway.
No, but a lot of our fans are fascists, you know.
Yeah, but worse than the fascists are the sort of the commuters. Don't you think?
Yeah, but you see, you can't just, it's not good putting them in bags, you know. There's some all right people everywhere, you know. And you're not preaching it. Well, what are they doing, you know? What can they do? All I'm saying is I think you should do it by changing people's heads. And they're saying, well, we should smash the system. Now, the system smashing scene's been going on forever, you know. They've been, you know, what's it done, you know? The Irish did it, and the Russians did it, and the French did it. And where's it gone? It's gone nowhere, you know.
But don't you see this age as something different from any other?
Yeah, I think the combination of what he's trying to say and do and what we're trying to say and do might do it, you know. But
Don't you think that...
I believe that it's different, you know, this time. That's why I don't believe that will be it. Because that's the same old game, you know. I mean, you smash it up, who's going to run it? Who's going to take over? The ones that are the biggest smashers? They'll be the ones that get in first, and they'll be the ones, like in Russia, that take over again, you know.
And substitute another system for all this.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I think it's just down to people, you know. And he wants to practice just communicating with somebody he knows and see how well he does that before he smashes up the fellow's house and then tries to communicate with him.
Well, I think what they think is that, capitalist system, advertising, all this business, which you don't get so much in communist countries, makes people competitive and thus alienates them from each other because they're always competing with each other.
Who says they're not competitive in Russia or anywhere? The whole bloody scene is... if that's the alternative, the communist Christian principles are the ones I like, But not Russia. Where's that? Nowhere.
Yeah.
And what are they doing, They're, okay, so they don't call it capitalism, but they're competing around the moon, they're competing around everything, they're competing in the Olympic Games, they compete with the whole, so it's called communism, so it doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, but do you think
And I don't think it's all that competition bit, it's just there anyway, nobody instills it into you.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
So, when you're being told on television to get a better car and things like this, you're always working.
Yeah, but
to outdo people who...
Well, yeah, if people's whole thing was changed, well, that wouldn't work, same as any indoctrination wouldn't work if people's heads were changed. How does it affect you about the cars,
Well, I think it does. I can't help it. I don't think anything.
But I think you've grown up enough to see through advertising.
Yeah, the thing is that it's not only advertising, it's all sorts of insidious ways that they get you to join in the system. The very fact, university is it's supposed to be a liberal education, but really it's just, insidiously getting you into the system and making you competitive with each other to get the sort of top jobs and this sort of crap.
Yeah, well, the thing is to leave university, isn't it? I was lucky I was thrown out, so they did it for me. And that guy said is that the mop tops and that. Okay, so we mop topped it, to get where I am. I'm here so as to do what I'm doing. But what's he doing here? What's the point?
That brings us to the point of what you get down to people's potential, and do you see people's potential as being different? The fact that you were chucked down, you did something, you turned out right, and you turned out something good that you wanted to do.
But I was doing it anyway, I never stopped it. I've been doing the same thing all my life. I've never done anything different. And he's always been there moaning, and so has the other faction. I've never changed that much during my whole life. I've been rocking since I had a guitar, which was 14, and I'm still rocking, and that's what I'm doing.
It's what I was saying, that the fact that you haven't changed, that nothing has really changed,
all the things, there's been millions of changes, but, I'm still doing exactly the same thing I was doing at school, or at art school, and as a Beatle. The mop-top image was when you're the kind of thing you did when you finally cornered in school, and you had to just either get smashed completely, and I'm not going to get myself crucified if I can help it, And so I've compromised, but I want to see somebody who's alive,
Is there anyone like that?
I don't know, She's the least compromised person I've met.
Yeah, I must say that.
But she's still here, so... Yeah.
But have you ever been to, in India or anything, have you ever met people who haven't compromised, sort of, some sort of Buddhist setup, monastery thing, where people just...
Well, so they haven't compromised all the things we've compromised, but where are they, so there's millions of guys in monasteries all over the place, but most of them are nowhere, they're nowhere,
Yeah, they're within themselves, maybe they're happy.
Well, so they might be, but you can do it here. That's what I found out about India. Well, I knew it anyway, intellectually, but finding it out is something, you can, wherever you are is it, you can do it anyway. It's all down to your head. You know, whatever system you're in or whatever's going on, all the sort of great artists of the past and all them, they all came through all these shitty systems anyway. And they still left their message, left their impression. But I still want to change it. But I mean, if you're going to get through, you get through, you know.
I don't know, I think the system's too powerful for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, it's like everybody's only suddenly noticed the system just lately, you know, last few years. But all those greats in the past, who were there? I can't think of any names, but they were there. I don't know.
Kafka around the turn of the century.
Yeah, or even Shaw and all the ones, Joyce and all them that were saying things. They knew where it was at, you know. They just did their work, you know. And they changed it by doing their work, you know. And none of them are out hustling and wrestling and attacking people. There's no point in him sort of attacking me or advising me. You know, he should do what he's doing if he believes in it, and consider me an ally rather than somebody that needs ticking off. From his point of view, you know.
They haven't got anything to believe in, you know, the ones that haven't got, I don't know, sufficient insight or whatever to break out of themselves and do what they want to do.
Well, you know, there's no hope for them unless the people's heads were changed all down the line, you know. Like, I mean, what are we doing about those people? We've got enough to do to survive ourselves, and then to influence the people nearest to us, and then the people next to us, and so on and so on. And you know, we all go through a bit how we're going to do everything, and you can't do everything. You just got to specialise, you know.
Yeah.
And you've got to be selfish in that respect, you know. Because when we were with the Maharishi and that bit, we were going through that, you know, because we thought, right, this could do it, and this will do for everyone, you know. But there's no sort of overall cure, you know, because there's always going to be them people, you know. But if the whole scene was different, well, at least they'd be happy, you know, or relatively happy. But there's no complete happiness.
Do you think people are sort of important? You know, you know, these millions of people, Coronation Street and that. Do you think that they're important in any sense?
I think they're as important as anyone else. You know?
Yeah, but what I mean is, do you think that people as a whole, humanity, is just sort of mould on the surface of an orange?
No, I believe in humanity, you know. I think we're the greatest. You know. We just got to find it out. That's all. And if this is the time when we're going to find it out, it seems like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Just to realise that, you know, I mean, that guy was some guy on TV last night saying, "Now this is Venus and this is the moon," you know. Doing this, yeah, you know, this is how it looks, and the Russians landed one there.
Yeah.
And okay, so they spend all that time and that getting to the moon, and they don't know what's going on in their head, you know. And that's all it is, you know. And this is the time when people are discovering that it's all in your head, and Venus is in your bloody head, and so is the moon, and you don't need a rocket to get there, you know. And man can do anything, you know. And Jesus never came down in disguise as God any more than any of us did, you know. We're all Jesus and we're all God, you know, and he's inside all of us. And that's what it's all about. And soon as you start realizing that potential in everyone, well, then you can change it, you know, and the person themselves can change it. And, you know, that's the whole bit. Jesus wasn't God come down on earth any more than anybody else was. He was just a better example of a good, you know, good guy. I vary, you know. I'm still a cynic. You know, but I believe, you know, I will it and want it to be the age, and it's all, you know, all the student bit and everything that's going on, and we do have more chance now just because we can communicate with Czechoslovakia and everywhere, you know, and just even touch them a bit, even if it's from a record or a poster or whatever. So I can't believe that we can all get beaten down again with that much communication between us.
It can only get better.
It can. I believe it gets better. All the Buddhist and all the Christian bit is always said, yeah, it gets better, but it was always sort of late, you know, when you're dead or something. Well, I believe that too, you know. I think it's always, yeah, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that each time it's better, you know. Even if you had a shit time this time, the next time will be just a little less shit, because you've worked off. It's like it's one bloody big exam. You know, and that's the drag, really, because it goes on and on and on. And there is, well, it's all right. There's just, there's no quick way out, like suicide or anything. You know, so you've got to go through it. So you can't forget it, you know, which is, I've tried that one, and you can't just do it all in a sort of holy buzz. I've tried that one, and I tried the other one when I was younger, just complete like that, you know. Let's smash it, you know, and let's just, it's the only way, just kick it down and then see what happens.
You got lots of millions of people milling around not knowing what's going on. Have you read some of Beckett's stuff?
I've only read Krapp's last tape and something else.
Because that's what I think. I think that people are pretty unimportant in the personal sense. You know, we're important to each other.
But in a universe, what do you mean? I believe the universe is in your head. You know, literally in your head. So, okay, physically we're insignificant when you look around to the size of it, you know. But the physical bit is a load of crap, you know. It's just like you're talking about, you're worrying about your car and talking about it as if there's no driver. You know, the driver's the bit. And the car is nothing, you know, the car just happens to be the thing you're driving. But the driver's the bit, and the driver's your soul or whatever. And that's universal and whatever, omnipresent and all the rest of it, you know. And it is. You know, and you can realise it. And if you realise it once, you remember when you've realised it before as a child or any time in your life. And it's there, you know.
But how, is there any way to do this? I mean, that you can say it? Or
well, I was 100% saying meditation can do it. I still believe it, you know. People can become aware of this with acid, meditation, and macrobiotic diet, you know. So that's what I'm doing now, and the combination of everything is the best thing I've come across so far, you know.
Have you changed a lot as a result of it?
I haven't changed, but look, it's just like this. You know the day that you're okay, and you are at 100% potential, and you can handle whatever the situation is. Now those days are rare when you just, you know, when I was a student or whenever I was doing before, or as a mop top, the days were rare when I said, it is okay, you know, and I can handle it.
Yeah.
But when I got onto acid, right, you thought, it is okay, and I can handle it, but handle it with acid or just after acid, or, you know, but still the percent of good days as opposed to bad days was just a bit better, you know, but still, you know, it's still a lot of hassling. So then meditation came along, and that worked all right, you know, and it made, you could handle each day better than I could handle it before. But then the India thing came, and I had a great experience over there, because I was meditating 8 hours a day and things like that, and it was really some trick, like acid was nowhere, you know.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, just sitting there muttering some word in a room, and it was the biggest trip I've ever had in my life, you know. But still, when I got home with all the hassle that went out there, and then we came rushing home, and I still haven't got back into it regularly. And then Yoko was trying to turn me onto this macrobiotic scene. And I said, okay. Somebody had been talking about it last year, and I'd eaten a bit of it. Oh, God, you know, but it was the same with meditation. It was 2 years reading about it, and then I tried it. And macro was about 1.5 years reading about it. Then I tried it. So I tried it about 2 or 3 months ago. And I can tell you, folks, that the effect on you is, in 3 days' time, you're a completely different scene, and every day is a better day. And the thing about the macro thing is the yin-yang principle, just cleaning out your system mentally and physically, and it works. We did 10 days rice diet, pure, and you think, oh, you can't do that, But it's not like giving up cigarettes or anything that you're hooked on. You know, you're not really hooked on that slush you're eating. And so after 3 days at both our sisters, she'd done it before, but I'd coaxed her back into crumpets and sugar and all the sort of... And once you start looking into what you're eating, just when you get back there, or when you get in a cafe, just look at your Thai food tea and look at everything and say, with government allowed, sponsored chemicals, you know, and tell that guy there to stop moaning about the system and revolt by stop eating the system, what the system's feeding him, which is keeping him in a state that makes him think that's all that's going on, you know, because that's where it's at. If he was eating, if his mind was open and clear enough to see what was really going on, he'd stop eating the shit he's eating, because it is shit, government-sponsored shit is what they're feeding you, and all the adverts telling you eat this all the time. There's not a bit of good in any of it. You know? And once you start looking at your diet and you realise that you are what you eat, it's true, you know, what else can you be? You're born like with a few bones and that. From then on you're fed propaganda mentally and propaganda food-wise, physically. And that's all you get. And the only change really will come when this generation turns on to sort of a decent way of eating and realising what they're eating. Just to check what you're eating is astonishing. When you really just start looking at every bloody thing you shove in your mouth has got some kind of crap in it. And even the things that you think have got no crap in it, the hens were fed crap. You know, it's all completely unnatural. And if you come to think that you are what you eat, which I believe in, then you know the result of everything that happens to you is karma or whatever anyway. But if you're shoving all this crap into you, how can you expect your system to work, you know? If you're shoving crap petrol into your car that just so happens to be the one that you've heard about and your dad told you about and you always ate it, and you just shove it in the car regardless, you know, and the car keeps conking down, but sometimes it goes great, you know, on a sunny day it goes, you have a great time in it. In the winter it won't move at all. You know, and that's what it's like. And the diet really did it, you know, it was like a complete overhaul. Just a complete overhaul of the body and mind. On the 3rd day you get like headaches and that, and it's all the shit coming out. And the food bloody tastes marvellous because you readjust your whole system and your taste and everything. You know, and I think things like that can do it, just basic things like changing what you eat. You know, because they're all on about the propaganda mental, so we're all aware of that, but they want to get hip to the propaganda that's going on inside your body.
I suppose these people would say that under their system, you know, presumably all these horrible chemicals and things are added just to make people buy this stuff in preference to other types.
It isn't that. It's just that it's convenient for the government and the people that produce it to get it out in that kind of quantity. But they don't need to, because they're burning it and throwing it away all the time.
Well, you don't think people start dying before?
Well, I mean, there's no communist country or so-called communist country that is feeding their people any better. The best fed people are the peasants in different countries whose food hasn't been tampered with so much. Even Ireland, you stand a better chance over there than you do here, you know. And as soon as they get into mass production in Russia or anywhere, they have to do it like that. But there's no reason to do it. There is enough food, and there's enough, you know, there's enough of everything to go round.
How doesn't that probiotic business all the health food?
Because the health food people just give up meat vaguely on principle. I was a vegetarian for about 2 years before I started the macro bit. But I just didn't want to eat meat for the animal reason, and because I just didn't want meat, you know. I didn't want it. If you are what you eat, I don't want to be a pig or a cow, you know, as simple as that. I believe in the vibrations of the animal coming off on you.
Really?
Yeah, sure. You know, look, just, if you think that when you talk, that that's the end of that sound vibration you make, well, that's what you're saying when you say, really? Now, I believe that when you talk, it sets up a vibration which goes on infinitely. You know, it just goes on and on and on. So every thought wave you have just goes on and on and on. It just doesn't end here just because we can't hear it or see it or smell it. So everything is, I've forgotten what the train of thought was from before there. Oh, about the animals, you know. So any vibrations an animal has, dying in fear, pain, or whatever situation it died in, I believe will rub off on you. You know, so it's a lot of hokey pokey and magic, but I believe in that too. I believe in everything till it's disproved, you know.
So really you believe everything is more or less a flux which we're comings and going to each other. And in actual fact there's no dichotomy anywhere.
Oh, I don't know what dichotomy means.
There's no split between anything what you can think of.
I'm not, do you mean everything's joined?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. But yeah, I believe that, you know, because I believe that thing which joins together is the thing they call God. Like electricity, you know, is the power. And it's no one guy or two guys or anything like that. I believe there's people nearer and further away to the power source, but I believe God is the omnipresent thing that does join everything together. But it's just a powerhouse like electricity, you know, and we're all a set of light bulbs, as it were. You know, but I believe in electricity, even though I can't see it, you know. I can see the light bulbs. Like I've seen a few people that you feel that they've got, you know, they're a bit nearer to whatever's going on, you know, and you get, so it's hard to describe, you know, and they've all said it in the past and they're still saying it, but it's just getting a language that you can relate to, you know.
What do you think about language?
I think it's a bit crummy, you know. It is a drag form of communication, really, and we'll get telepathy, you know. I believe that.
You believe that?
Yeah, sure. Sure as anything, I believe that it's because now we need it so much. Just for me to communicate with that guy. Now he's written a letter to a paper to tell me, and I'm talking to a tape for you that he might ever see. Now, where's that, you know? But if he was really wanting to communicate with me, you know, even to come and see me, to talk, it's hard, you know. What I'm saying to you, you're translating it all the time, even though it's English, into what you think I'm saying, you know. And I'm only saying what I'm trying to say from way back there, which is coming out in the limited amount of vocabulary I have anyway, and the way I'm trying to describe all that or all this, you know, it's nowhere, so.
But what we say as well is sort of limited by our upbringing. I mean, you know, what one's allowed to say. Have you escaped from this, you know, inhibitions, sort of not saying what you want to say?
I don't know, it's hard to judge myself, you know.
But do you always speak your mind?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, that's why I was thrown out of college, that's why I was always getting expelled and all that. I've been me all the time, that's him, you know. I've been Lennon all down the line, so. But I mean, I'm not saying I haven't compromised, you know, but I've been me all down the line, you know, like, there's...
He's actually one of the most natural people, in the sense that he's so straightforward about
But I mean, the system had a pretty good go, you know. I mean, it was at art school to be an artist, and they wanted me to, or anybody that was there, to be an art teacher, or to go into this section of it and that section to suit the balance of the system rather than what I could do. And the same at school, you know. And I don't forgive them for that. But it wasn't each teacher's fault, it was the system. So I'm against the system and the education, period. You know, but it's no good just smashing down the school. I agree with all this taking the schools over. Even if you take them over for the whole year and never let any tutors in, you don't need them, you know. If you want to learn it, if you want to learn all that crap, you can get it out of books if you really want to learn it, you know. And so that kind of smashing up, I agree with it. But you may as well keep the building and keep the books, because otherwise you're going to have to learn it from some old guy, one way or the other. You may as well keep what they've got and just change it, you know. I mean, I've always said that, don't drop out, man, you know. Just stay in and subterfuge or whatever, subvert it, you know. I mean, that's what we did as Beatles, was subvert. Even if we nearly got submerged while we were doing it. Yeah. We got an MBE, which is one of the biggest jokes in the history of this island, probably. You know, but that's subversion, you know, and that's revolution.
Yeah, I believe in that. I don't think that anything like this is compromise, really. Because if you're thinking in terms of a monk, you know, who didn't compromise and just staying on something.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, that's an easier way out.
But supposing...
It's easier to be a monk than to stay out here in this, you know. you think it's harder and that, be alone, but what you get is a little cosy community of guys, and a lot of them in India have guys and girls, so it's a cinch, you know.
It's a vacuum as well.
Yeah, and it's a little cosy school life, you know, which is secure. And you know, you think you know where you're going, and you're probably praying and getting a few buzzes, but most of them are just going through the same little petty grocers, hassles, shopkeeper scenes that everyone is everywhere else.
The trouble is that...
And they feel good because they've broken off from all this, but it's damn sight harder out here than it is in the monastery.
Yeah, but unless you're going to get a dropout, you've got to compromise, haven't you? Really, don't you think?
Well, you have to a bit, but it just, I mean, it's not a great sin, you know. You're compromising by not fucking every woman you fancy as you walk down the street. You're compromising by not smashing everything you don't like when you feel like smashing it. The compromise is within yourself, you know. We're all good and bad. You've got to compromise one thing or the other to just take a step forward. You've got to compromise whether you're going to fall over when you walk up a set of stairs or anything, you know. But I mean, it's the degree of how much you compromise.
It's what you value as important, whether it's compromise or not.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I mean, you know, what one person values is compromise and the other doesn't.
Yeah, and the point is that a lot of us probably all agree, we all really know what the compromise we're talking about is that one where you sell out, you know. And everybody thinks everybody else is sold out. But there's even guys just in business, you know, that don't think they've compromised, they haven't really, you know, and they're secretly trying to do what everybody else is trying to do, but they don't know it half the time, or they don't realise. Because even just, I was talking to that guy, Lord Beach, and I said, you know, we want to help with this apple, but we don't want any of them, you know, this, that, and the other, and we're idealists, and I was giving it him, you know, that's what we're trying to do, and we want a happy office, and all that. And he, you know, he rightly sort of said, listen, man, there's a few idealists. They're not a complete set of fascists. There's one or two human beings in the city, which I hadn't allowed for, you know, with my great open-minded awareness and all that. I just hadn't allowed for any human beings in the banks or anywhere. But there's some human beings there. There's probably some in the government, you know. I still sort of find it hard to believe, but there's somewhere in that pile of slush, there might be some human beings, you know, but it's hard, it's that bit, you know. There are, you know, there's people everywhere of the same mind, and it's just, even amongst ourselves we can't communicate, which is the hard bit, you know, amongst the people that sort of really agree.
Just because of words?
Just because of words and your upbringing and the attitude and how you express it. Well, it's just something, you've got to find a mutual sort of language to express yourself, you know. And my language is the... Unless you what?
It's impossible.
No, it isn't. I mean, I wasn't involved last year, but I was communicating quite well with people. So. Not as well as, or maybe not as powerfully, because now there's two of us doing that, whatever it is, setting out the vibration or whatever. But before that, it was me and George, or like that, whatever it was. We weren't in love, but you know, there's enough in you to shove it out. It is just that bit. If somebody comes in a room and he's uptight and that, he can make the whole room uptight.
Yeah.
But if you're all sitting there uptight and some guy, the laugh guy comes in, he can just change it all, just without saying or doing anything. You know? And that's what I mean about changing the world, by changing their heads and setting up vibrations, hippie, inverted commas, love talk, you know. So it works on that basis. Now, Yoko's Smile film is in Chicago, and it's just that one of me for an hour, and then he smiles now. It's a great portrait, and it's a great film, and it's all that. It's also a great vibration. And my bit, I put on it, music, make your own, bring your own instruments. So they did. Now that's in Chicago, where all that shit was going on, and still is. But I believe that a lot of artists and people pulled out their stuff from Chicago as a protest. But I think that, so they just leave it to the wolves, you know, to just create the whole atmosphere around it and keep it. So you couldn't even go within 100 miles of the place without getting uptight or paranoid or frightened. But I believe if you If you just keep sending the gear at them, you know, you've got to. It's got to be yin yang. If it's all bad in Chicago, all the good guys pull out everything they've got and move away from it. That place will just be completely bad, you know, and it'll be a stronghold for all the baddies, you know.
Is there anything you can do about the baddies or not?
It's just if you can't sort of just change them with your articles and your magazines and you just got to change it with your attitude. Change the people around you. You know, work on the people at college, even the other students who don't see it, and forget about what's going on in Alabama for a bit and just work on the people around you, because between you can have more effect on Alabama or Vietnam. But I'm not saying forget about Vietnam and don't bother doing anything about it, but just work on the locals and just see where all the fascists are there. You know, and work on them, you know, your auntie, your uncle, your parents, and your cousin, your brother, and everyone. They're the same people as the cops that are beating up people in Chicago. Exactly the same types are up in Kiel University and are living on this hill. They're all round, you know, and they're not just in uniform. Yes.
That leads me on to a bit. Have you read any McLuhan? I know she said once about.
No, I've just heard this and read about half a page or something. You know.
Looking at this sort of localised thing where you say, yeah, I agree with you, you know, basically. But
it's like
the fact that everything else actually is always coming in on you anyway, so you've got two sets of problems all the time. You know, there's no question of a localised view of things now.
No. But I was just using that as an example of, you know.
But I mean, everything is coming at you from all sides now, which is why it's coming to a global village, like McLuhan said.
Yeah, I believe the village bit, you know.
But I mean...
But it's still your street you're living on, you know.
But I suppose the only difference you could make was that for the inhibitions of material things, trying to force on you all the time, as opposed to your mind attitude.
Yeah, but I'm anti all, you know, like you say, that material things are doing this, that. But if people were just different, regardless of what material things are, they'd see what material things were anyway. You know, and if you go to any village that isn't in material, or some African tribe and that, they've got exactly the same psychological troubles and everything that we've got, maybe a bit lesser to a different degree, you know. But they're going through the same little bitchiness, the same uptight, the same, you know, he's got 3 fingers and I've got 10. You know, they're going through the same bit, you know. We're just going through it on a grander scale because it is a grander village and it's a harder, you know, it's a big tribe. But I think that people are people anywhere, you know, and they're going through the same bit. And there's no haven that we can create by going back to the soil bit and forgetting about cars and telly. And that'll cure us, you know. It's just down to yourself, you know, and your relationship to the next person. And, you know, it can only work on that scale. You can't, you know, there'll be no mass changing of things by getting rid of all the materialistic goods. And saying, now we're all right, now the government isn't telling us to buy this and buy that. You know, I'm anti this indoctrination and you should have this and you should have that, and there should be a perspective put on what you need, you know, and not what they think people imagine they need, you know. And I found out by having it, you know. It took me having it, not sort of by any other way, to find out that you don't need it, you know. But my goal in life wasn't to succeed and have 10 cars and a house on a stinking hill and that, but there was always that, you know, well, I'm going that way. I mean, I wouldn't mind. Who doesn't want it? I thought, I'll be miserable in comfort. You know, that's all one thing I was taught as a kid. I'd sooner be miserable in comfort, one of my aunties used to say. And I was all for that, you know. But the more you get, you know, you either hang on to it like a maniac, like those people do, and spend the rest of their lives and they die with it, you know, and you know, all that rubbish. Or you realise where it's at. And it is nowhere, and you don't, you know, I've got it all, folks, listening to the adverts about cars, and it's nowhere, man. I'm just the same, you know. I'm just the same as I was. I'm just lumbered with the responsibility of having all this material that the government's hounding me for tax that the accountant never got. The accountant's hounding me for money I gave to relatives, dogs, anybody that came round. So because of all this scene I created for myself, I was saying to him, look, man, couldn't I just, what can I do? Just get rid of it all. All I want is somewhere to live, a bit of land or something to grow some macrobiotic food on, and get this off my back. But even that's bloody hard. Apple, we wanted to set up a charity foundation. You can't just set up a charity foundation like that, me boy. You've got to get some earned income that comes through here through Malaya to go through. You know, you can't just, the more you get, the more hassle it is, you know.
But people just won't believe this.
I know, I never believed it, man. I never believed it either. And that's it. I can only say what happened to me when I got it. And you take what you can from that, or accept what you can accept about what I say about what it's like to have 12 cars and 40 suits or whatever. You give us it for a kick-off, the first thought, if you don't want it. And then was, well, I'd sooner be happy in luxury, you know. And then, but you get down to defining luxury, you know. The happiest time of my life, one of the happiest times was in India in some kind of pit, you know. And happily, mentally and physically, you know, because it was just such a groove, you know, it was such a pure thing. Now I'm getting the same kind of groove on this diet, man, as I did then, you know. I mean, everything isn't just all great and that, but I just know, you know, everything is slightly more in perspective. Just I can handle the situation a bit better, because I am ticking better, you know. It's like, I don't know, I'm in a better physical and mental condition to handle all the shit that is coming in. You know, the worse condition you are mentally and physically, the more they can get you.
Why do you think people want to be rich? Is it just because of the telly, the adverts and the system, or is it?
Well, I wanted to be rich because I was relatively poor, you know, and I thought rich would sort of get you out, which it did get me out, but it only got me out of Liverpool, you know. It didn't get me out of my mind or out of my body, you know. And whether I would have started meditating and eating macrobiotic food, etc., after all the trips that I've been through this last 2 years, I probably would have done it rich or poor, you see, and then wouldn't have bothered to try and make money. But I didn't try too hard. It just so happened my gimmick was the one that earned money, you know. And that I don't believe I used to think, anybody can write songs and be a pop star. I think we even said in the Beatles book, it was only last year when we were talking home today, I've changed that much since then. I don't believe it, you know. I made it because of me, and I had that thing that makes that music and makes those songs up. I believe everybody's got something. You know, it's just they've got to bring it out.
Yeah, that struck me, that business about...
Because it was always people saying, you know, just all the time, all down the years, they've been saying, you know, what have you got? What have you got that, you know, Christ knows what it is, you know. So it was really a reaction. I just always said, look, man, anybody can do it. For Christ's sake, we were just ordinary lads, you know, but... you know, I can come from any society, like Yoko and I like that mentally. And she comes from some kind of high-class Japanese banking family that wouldn't even let me sweep the floor, you know. And I come from Liverpool, and she comes from East, I come from all the symbolic bit, you know. And there's the nearest thing to me I've ever come across in my life, you know. And I mean, I believed that intellectually before, that you could come from working class, and you could be born royal and still make it, you know, even though I think that's harder, you know, to be born into that situation and taught that you are above all, you know. Her hardest thing was being brought up to believe she was special, you know, and that her class was special, and that you don't have to, you know, you don't communicate or worry. At least if you're born at the bottom, you're told that you're nothing, and you either accept it or you think, you know, you try and set out to do something about it, and that choice you've got. But if you're up there, born royal, you're told that you're great, you know. You're told that you don't need to do anything to justify living, and they've got to get over that, you know. That's why I'm always cracking about royalty and that, because I really think they have you know, the ones that accept it, well, you know, piss on them. But the ones that try and do anything, it must be bloody hard for them to be brought up and told you you are unhuman, you know, that you're the almost son of God, you know, and brought up in that atmosphere. It's incredible that any of them have done anything, but I don't know whether any of them have, you know, except for set up Boy Scout funds and all that. But, you know, even whatever they're trying to do, you know, it's difficult.
Has success and money brought any of the other people's happiness?
No, they're all in the same boat.
Have you met any people who are rich?
No. I've met people who, the rich people I've met, you know, no thanks, I think I'm a bit heavy. The ones that are so-called happy with it are happy in that sort of way that the woman in the semi-detached is happy. Like we used to live in a row of about 20, and the ones at that end who had 2 cars or something were so-called, you know, were supposed to be happier than those who had no car or no phone or whatever. So the rich people are supposedly happy like that, but I've met no happy people in bags, in one bag or another, like rich or poor, you know. And I've never met anybody completely happy, you know. Because I don't believe it exists. You can't. There's always got to be the positive, negative, yin yang bit, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as just happiness, pure like that. I think you can reach a state of consciousness. I don't know whether you can make it in this life, you know. I mean, all the Buddhas and the Jesuses, all the great ones that were pretty hip, conscious-wise. I don't think they had complete happiness, but I reckon that you might get that. I think complete happiness is when you are a bit of electricity, when you've made the absolute, as the Buddhists or whatever it is say. And then the concept of what we think of happiness, and of just being, which is what happiness will be for all of us, is not to... And I've had that through meditation, is just a state where you are not aware of anything. So there you're being, and that's complete happiness, you know, you just are. And that is what happiness is, the bit is the peace, you know, the peace we're looking for is just to be, and nothing affects you, and you affect nothing, literally. But of course you must do in a way, because of ramble, but you just are, you know. And the happiest people, the people that are being more times a week than anybody else, you know. Like, and it's just down to that.
Ravi Shankar, he's a very happy people.
He's fairly happy, but he hasn't got it made by any means, you know. I mean, he's just a guy, you know.
Yeah, but when he plays, I mean...
Yeah, well, when you play, I mean, I've had that playing. Anybody that paints, draws, or anything, the bit about being is the same, or almost the same, I'm not really sure, you know, as when you're playing a groove and Ravi does it, or as soon as he hits it, he cuts out, you know. And we've had it playing, you know. I mean, you get it every time there's a good session. You watch musicians and they're really playing well. They're out of it, you know. And that's when you just are being, you know. There's nothing hassling. You're not hassling anything. You're just, you know, and that's it. And you get it from writing. You know, you can get it daydreaming. Or I remember having it as a kid on a desk, just sort of, you know, or in the grass in the sun. Just for a moment, you go. And then you'd always fight back, you know, you'd always think you wouldn't... No, that's the whole bit. Even when you're meditating and doing these things with the whole express purpose of getting into that state, you've got to practice it like you practice anything to stop being frightened. When you get the state, the different levels you get to on meditation, you get to a thing, like, you know, and you're fighting it all the time. And it's just a whole... time is spent to stop being frightened of nothing.
And don't you think this is a sort of...
You
got more fighting against it ever since the inception of civilization, what we call civilization in the West. So
yeah, I think we've gone a lot further away from it since we got civilized, you know, and since Christianity became Christianity with a capital C, and nothing to do with Jesus Christ. You know.
But in my mind, the difference at this time is what McLuhan says, that for once everyone's become self-conscious in a position where the tribal group weren't self-conscious, but acted probably without ego.
Yeah. But I think it's the world is on a trip, you know, and like on record, I must relate to our records because that's the thing I've done. Look, on records we went through the childish tribal bit, which is the early records, self-conscious bit, which is Rubber Soul, say, pre-Pepper, coming out of Pepper, and now unself-conscious, I think is, as unself-conscious as you can get, relatively speaking. I think as a race, as humans, is what we're doing. We've been the tribal bit, childlike, and then we've got the suddenly becoming aware of something and becoming self-conscious and going through all the hassles you go through being self-conscious, where you're so self-conscious you can't do anything. And then to come out of that is the next stage, which I think we're going into, is being self-conscious but realizing that you can handle it, and that's the breakthrough, it's the end of the trip, if it was a good trip, you can handle it, and that we're just going through a big trip, the whole world, the whole universe is just one big trip, and we're just going through a bit, and we've got to get hung up about what we're going through now and how we arrived at it, how they cocked up Christianity, Buddhism, how they did all that, but we do it. We did it. If you believe in reincarnation, it was us then anyway. We've all done it. We've been them all. We've been the fascists and we've been everything. And we're just tripping out, and now we're going through that bit. Now we're suddenly really becoming self-conscious of what we did with the basic thing we had. We've become too self-conscious of it. Now we've got to put it in perspective, And we can have cars and tellies and that, but still get back to the spiritual bit, which is the bit we've missed out on.
There are some things which are sort of inconsistent with your attitude. I don't know what the other three think, but the thing, in the Hunter Davis thing, you said that you'd often sort of write 2 or 3 draggy songs which you didn't enjoy doing, finishing LP, and also this Apple business of, I don't know whether it's going into production, but this machine to stop people recording records.
No, I mean, the guy came up with that invention. So the thing is, obviously we're not going to sell that to the people to jam the records, man. I mean, even just as a public relations job, it'd be the dumbest thing on earth. But the invention's out, word-wise. So of course, even the dumbest fascist is not going to do it if it's going to spoil his image. And we wouldn't put that out, but the thing we will do is to sell it to the tape recording people to prevent us putting it out. To the record people, because it'll spoil the tape. It's just like that. We're playing that game, and we'll play the game on their terms, There's, that's copying and change it. And why not have a go at that, And that's what we'll do with it, because somebody's going to do it soon. It's a feasible thing. But even if we'd done it, somebody'd come up with something that changed it. There's no getting out of that. You can't beat them. You can't do that. Like they keep changing the noise. You can always get round it. And obviously we wouldn't do that. For any reason on earth. Just morally, I wouldn't put my name. I wouldn't do it. I know the others wouldn't. Even if any advice we got was saying, "Come on, man, come on."
What about the records? The sort of doing draggy tracks? Well,
it's not draggy tracks. It's like draggy tracks as opposed to just completely enjoying it. And that's the job I've chosen to do, is to record and write songs. Now, it's my job to if I'm feeling draggy, I mean, when I say I wrote Good Morning and Good Morning or something like that, and I didn't like it and I didn't enjoy it, I didn't enjoy it as a whole. It was a job of work, But I got enjoyment from it. I've had enjoyment from doing it. But you can't pin people like me down on every literal thing that's said in print like that. This guy says, you say it was a con job. Now I say it is a con job in the terms of reference that I mean by con, when I say Picasso was conning them, and so was Beethoven, and having a laugh up their sleeve, because they were, anybody that's as great as they were knows where it's at, and they know that all this drivel like that's written about our songs and the Stones and Dylan and all that, Dylan knows where it's at. We know where it's at in regards to our songs and what people write about them, and that is the con job. And if somebody gets uptight about me putting Wobble of a Grapefruit in the middle of a song just for a laugh, or because I like the sound of Wobble of a Grapefruit, and to me that's a con, because I know Thomas Mann or somebody who will write something about and he's probably right about the great sort of sense of rhythm of that line wobble up a grapefruit, you know. And he's right, but I put it in for a laugh, and that's a con job. But so I don't think con is a derogative word, you know. But that guy said, oh, you're right, you know. Who's he kidding, you know? And so I'm not answerable to everything I said to Hunter Davis. There's something else. There's a few bits in there that I said how I felt that day. But do I have to stand by that for the rest of my life just because it's in print?
Why did you agree to the book? Well,
because it was done, it was agreed to a long time ago when Brian was alive, and he said, this guy wants to write a book on you. And why not? You know. So it was why not? And the idea was to try and get some kind of vaguely version of what was going on, a bit to do with, that had some connection with what we thought was going on as well, because people were going to do it anyway. But even that book is so nothing to do with what we are. It's so outdated, like he says at the end of it.
Yeah.
You know, that you cannot do it. But people are going to be writing us for the rest of our lives, about us for the rest of our lives, probably, and after we're dead. So I intend to either confuse the issue so much they never knew what was going on, or to try and keep shoving out bits and bits that what I think is my version of how it happened, and how Beatles happened, and how the different things happened as a result of this or that, or how I was influenced or not influenced. So as whoever is bothered to be looking at it in the future, if they ever do, the people that really know will sort out, you know, they'll know what was going on a bit, you know, and they won't have to go through a million things, you know, just like that, you know. And it's nice to be written about, and it's just a sense of history, and it's good for your ego, and we enjoyed it. And it was a bit of a drag having to keep talking about things, but it was nice talking about your childhood, remembering the gags and all the things that happened. You know.
As far as the music is concerned, you personally, do you think that in the record media, do you think the potential is still there? Do you feel as if you've come to an end?
No, man. We haven't even started. We keep saying this. There's no end to it. There is no end, and there's no beginning, you know. It's infinite, and there's no end to it, you know. There's just every possibility, combination of sound that on earth is open to us and anybody else who cares to listen. You know, just what's going on now, that's a record, you know. To me, that's a record, this whole bit. And we've got all that to work on. You know, there's no end to it. You know, and there's no bag to put it in, and it just goes on and on and on. And the only end I can see is if I get fed up of doing it, or want to do something else.
God help you.
You know, but... Oh, why God help me this?
Well, because it's just if you get fed up with doing it.
There's plenty to do, man. You know.
Oh, you mean something else instead?
Yes, yeah. I couldn't not produce or create, you know. I mean, I'm creating a lot more than just the records, just with Yoko, and just all the time, you know. I can't stop, you know, that's my gig. And I've always done it. As a kid, it was making puppets or drawing or writing poetry, whatever it is. That's my gig on earth, is to turn out all this stuff, you know. And I'll turn it out, regardless of what anybody says or thinks about it, you know.
Revolution 9, is it about death?
Just checking we're not wasting our time. No, how can it be about just death?
Well,
You know?
because it seems to me to be about death.
Well, then it is then, right? When you heard it, how many times have you heard it?
About 4.
4, so it's about death. Well, listen to it on another day, in the sun, outside, and see if it's about death then. It's about everything, then. I mean, it's not specifically about anything. It's a set of sounds, like walking down the street is a set of sounds, you know. And I've just captured a moment of time, put it on disc, and it's about that, you know.
I thought it might have some specific meaning that you meant it to have.
No, nothing does, you know.
Just sound going on all the time.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was vaguely to do with the sounds of a revolution, you know. There was some shooting, and there was some babies crying, and there was some peace, and there was some that. That's the sort of vague story behind it, you know. But apart from that, it's just a set of sounds, you know.
I think it's the best track, actually.
Thank you, you know, glad that few people are getting it.
Yeah, if you get to that, I mean, I saw that practice was immediately, but When you said something about do what you can with it, you obviously do what you can with what's going on. Sort of take all this shit, and you're going to get it again.
Yeah.
You're going to get it all again if you revolt in the way that you thought, smashing things up. You can't get away from that.
Yeah. You can't, there's no way out, smashing it up or whatever, there isn't any way out. And we've all just got to go chogging along, doing what we can. But all the words on Revolution Number 9 were just random talking. There was nothing written down for you saying, it's a film script, it's this and that. I think it was just George, Yoko and I on the... I did a lot of it with loops and chopped up old Beethoven that was lying around EMI or any bits and pieces, stuck them together, and we did some sort of priming the canvas tracks. I can't remember whether they were going to be for Number 9 or not. Just where we had the tape on, with a bit of echo and a cup of tea or something, and George and I just talked for about 20 minutes, just anything. We've been doing it for years on tape around the world, and just and so, brother, we'd like to say to you, welcome to, just any rambling. And then I got all the tapes on the different machines, all the loops on different machines, and all the basic tracks, so it was like a big organ or something, where I knew vaguely which track would come up if I did that. And I just tried to get the bits of conversation in that I liked, that seemed to say something like, do what you can, brother, or anything like that, and try to pull out the ones I didn't like, so I did it, I think I did it in one go, it was like I just got it, and then I did some slight editing after that, and so most of it is completely random in that respect, and all the words, but you see, it's like that, it's like throwing the dice or the I Ching or whatever it is. There's no such thing as random, really. It's random compared with sitting down saying, it's been a hard day's night, it's been a hard day's night, working like a dog, but even that's random. But it was just, and it was a couple of sixes, and I might have had to do it again and settle for an 11. It probably was an 11, rather than that, you very seldom get a double six in whatever you're doing on that buzz, because when you're on the buzz that is actually doing the thing where you're not aware, very seldom with the tape recorder on, or everybody's got it at the same bit, and so it's always, most things on, 9 out of 12 or things like that.
Do you think it has changed since you've been to stuff?
How do you mean?
Like earlier on with the first couple of LPs, something like that, where you weren't self-conscious particularly.
Yeah, but on this album we rid ourselves of the self-conscious bit. So we were doing what we were doing earlier on, but with a better knowledge of technique of recording. Like quite a few of the tracks are just straight takes of us playing. Your blues, we were just in a room half the size of this next to them, just to have a change between the big studio, and we just did it. And I Will and Julie and all them, it's just us singing like that. But the technique just makes it a bit better than one of us just singing in the early days, it's just we know the technique of recording better. So if we did the first album again with Twist and Shout and all those things on, it'd be the same, But we sounded more like us on this record then than we do on that record. People that heard us in Liverpool and Hamburg and on the early dates before we turned into just a mass screen. The only art I really dig is Yoko's and a few people like Richard Hamilton.
Have you ever seen Steve Gloucester's stuff?
No. But there's very few of them that I prefer to the others. The others are just okay,
Yeah.
And there's some greats in the past and that, but there's very few people today that, there was very little art that turned me on. It was only discovering Yoko, Indica Gallery, that returned me back onto, I'd been fishing around looking at what was going on. And there was no turn on, there was the same old rubbish coming out over and over again. It was like pre-rock and roll pop music art, until people like Andy Warhol, Yoko, and Cage, and all those people did what they did, And that concept art is the only one worth bothering about for me. It's the only turn on I've had since Elvis, on rock and roll.
But do you get as much satisfaction from watching it as actually doing it?
Watching what?
Well,
No, that's why I'm doing it,
Mm-hmm.
Same as I heard Elvis, And then I had to do it, you know. I got great joy listening to his records, which I'll never forget, and which I can recreate playing them. But doing it is something else, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had great joy from Ronald Searle when I was a kid, but I had to draw it myself, you know, to get the real buzz. And the same goes for Dylan, you know, and all the people that have influenced me, and Yoko, and I've got to do it now. And if I...
Anthony, is there anything else that's got some...
No, I've just will you wrap there's a film up? Oh, can you just bring the two films in here? I want him to take it in. The one we watched.
The thing about art then, do you see, I mean, there's sort of two concepts of art as something different from life, like in the past, say, and art is what you're doing, what everybody's doing. I mean, a conscious effort to try and create things that other people are going to get.
Yeah, well, it's sort of Andy Warhol and those people sort of said everything's art, you know, like here's the Kanasu, you know, and that, you know, to just sort of show people that it's all art. It depends on if you look at it with an artist's eye or an open mind, then it's art, you know.
But you must still see it as a transitional period.
But was it in here? I don't know.
That's it.
But again, to the point where everyone says, all right, everybody's got it. There's no, you don't have to show it to everybody else because everybody's there.
Oh yeah, but there'll always be people that will be showing some other viewpoint to it.
You think so?
Yeah, but I mean that's when everybody's sort of hip to that in the year whatever, and which won't be too long because there won't be much else to do, you know.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, right. So that's going to be great. But there's if I'm with some ordinary guy that can't create the way I create, but he can appreciate it in the year 2 million when I'm reborn or not or whatever, I'll be creating something, some other viewpoint of what's going on, you know. There'll be something for artists or musicians and all the people like me to do, even when everybody's hip to what's going on all around, you know. There'll be still the performers and the singers and the equivalent of whatever's going on then, you know.
What makes you think that?
Because there's always people are never going to be the same, and everybody, you know, there'll always be people like me doing something like I do, the relative thing, you know. Even if it'll all be pretty conceptual and spiritual and mind music and like that. But even if we're all, if I didn't have to sing to you to sing my songs, presuming none of you can play or sing anything, just presume that, and I was giving you a performance in the year 2012, the stuff I create still comes from out inside, like the language, and I still got to translate it onto this to sing to you. But if we had direct communication, I'd still be communicating those songs to you. Now you can probably do it yourselves, but if I'm a sort of natural musician or something, I'll be able to sing to you songs that you wouldn't be able to create yourself, you know.
But what I'm saying is you get to that point where you get the essence, you know, I mean, the whole working towards everything by externalising things and showing people, in the end, you get to the essence where everybody's got it and there's no need to externalise it. So,
well, externalise it, no, but it'll still be, you know.
I mean, to say it's music and it's films and that, I mean, that presupposes some sort of thing that you have to go through to get to it, but you won't have to.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at, but I still think there'll be people sort of, I can't think of an example, you know, to sort of show how I mean it.
So I think it's incredibly optimistic, you know. I can't help feeling that...
I am optimistic, you know.
Yeah, but I can't help feeling that you're sort of, I don't know, in the last few years, you've got out of touch with the masses. I don't mean...
No, but what's the masses, man? You know, what do you mean by that, you know?
But,
out of touch with what, you know? With 9 to 5 and all that?
With people's...
I've never been in touch with...
capabilities. I mean, your friends are presumably sort of enlightened people.
No, they're not. My friends are just ordinary people, you know. There's a friend of mine. Now, he's neither enlightened nor not enlightened. He is the masses, you know. So I'm the masses, man. You know, I've been the masses. I am the masses. Nothing's changed. But because I'm not living on Compton Street or something, doesn't mean a shit, you know. So I've never been in contact with the masses, according to the way you're talking. I've never been there, man. I was never there mentally all my life. Why do you think I'm me? The whole point about me is that I've never been there. Physically, right, I went through it all. And mentally, I went through all the things that all the other guys at school did. I'd like you to get me some sellotape to stick it down before it all unreels. You know?
Yeah.
So, using your term of reference, I've never been there in contact with the masses because I've always been outside of it.
Yeah.
Whether I knew it or not, you know, that's why I'm me and not doing some gig in Liverpool at 9 to 5 or even bumming around the coffee bars.
But that's why I think you're being terribly optimistic to think that people can never become as you would like them to be. Everybody to be turned on.
It's relatively turned on. That's why I'm saying to him that there'll always be people. If this scene is 2012 or whenever, you know, that may be earlier, whatever it is when people are doing, there'll be relative. It'll still be relative, but the masses will be where I am today, and me should be somewhere else. Saying now this is you know, I should be as groovy as Jesus by then, and the masses should be as groovy as the grooviest people around now.
But
you know,
when
that's.
you look back, do you think there's been this advance, you know, over the last few hundred
I think
years?
it goes and comes, you know, it cycles, you know, like all the astrologers and all those people say, we've been and fallen back, and I think it continues on that, and that when the Earth as a whole evolves to its full state of consciousness, there's a good chance it'll just fall back into the crap again, you know. So I mean, it's all, what's the use of it? But the point is, if you believe in reincarnation, the point is that you're going to be around in the future, so you may as well, even for selfish reasons, fix it up for when you come back.
Are you buzzing?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
But this thing, well, that's it if you got that. And the thing about seeing this as a vertical rather than a horizontal.
I just see it as a loop, you know.
Going round.
Yeah. And you get up to the top and down to the bottom of the hill and see again.
Yeah, but I mean,
Possibly every loop gets a new height.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I don't personally see it as a sequential thing upward.
No. Well, I mean, that's only a way of describing.
Yeah.
Like in meditation, they used to say you go within yourself, and not like the kingdom of heaven within you. All that. You're not actually going in, out, or anywhere. You know, and the whole place isn't actually going up, down, or anything. But that's the only language we've got. You know, we can't conceive of what's happening. You know, and when Jesus or any of the master types try and tell you. They've got to put it in language like up, down, round.
No, but that's one thing that...
What?
Whenever we're not still in that state and all that, whenever we had it...
What was that?
That's the only time that I felt a kind of small bit of the beautiful idea. But, you know, going to the next stage.
Yeah.
Why is this?
Yeah, but it's only a language of describing a state of consciousness, isn't it? So it's not up, down, up, round and about, but the way they describe it in all the good old books is you go up and you go down, you know, and you say you're up when you're high and you're down when you're depressed, but you're not, you know, and it's as valid as that.
Did you think you were submarine was a good film? How much did you have to do with it?
Very little.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it, you know, I thought it was all right.
For the moment it's brilliant, I thought.
Yeah, I like the guys drawing, you know.
Yeah.
And I like some of the things they did. You know, I thought it was all right.
That vacuum man was something to take up.
Oh yeah, they pinched that from an idea I had about the sweeper in the garden, in the pool. But, I mean, they didn't pinch it because I was writing a song about it for them, but I never did it. Horace the vacuum.
Oh, you mean you had a song about her?
Well, they were saying, have you got any more songs for the cartoon? And I said, well, you know, I'm going to write one. They wanted one about a monster. So I said, well, I'll write you one about Horace. There's a thing that goes around the swimming pool sucking up the dirt. I was going to write about Horace who sucked up. But I never did it. So they just took that, obviously, and made out a vacuum thing of it. And that's Fran's need to give to Tony Bramwell. Has he gone?
Yeah.
Oh. Can you tell him that he's got to hand it to Tony Bramwell personally, otherwise it'll vanish.
Is it an underground film?
No, well, so I suppose so. It's a film of You Are Here show, you know, of all the people reacting to it. I had a candid camera team hidden behind the door watching all the people doing it, sort of looking at the picture and not knowing how to take it, and all the art critics and the artists. What? Yeah. There might be something to bring back too.
Someone wanted to ask about is the LP.
There might be something
Oh, yeah.
bring back to.
Oh yeah, tell him to get 2 virgins and bring that back. Yeah, they should be bringing me some back today. Yeah.
Will you get one?
No, it's not out yet, but there's such a lot of fighting and hassling trying to stop it, you know, and EMI putting it around the world, don't touch it, to all their companies, you know, and they're meant to be helping us. And but I think it's coming out this week. They're sending out the thing to the retailers for them to place the orders. So the thing is, they don't keep asking for it till the retailers say, oh, they want it, you know.
Yeah.
But it'll come out even if we have to send it around in a van, you know.
Yeah. You heard about this ridiculous Hendrix thing where they put it in a brown paper bag?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Christ.
But I don't care if they put it out in a brown paper bag as long as it goes out, you know. Help yourselves, some nice bread you made. Macrobiotic bread, as they say. Oh, I'll just get a chunk before it vanishes. No, because our output's been so much, I think we've covered any contract they have. But they do have a thing saying so many songs a year, you know.
Really?
Oh yeah, because I mean, when you do sign up, originally you sign up because you're glad to sign up, you know. And then you go on and on trying to get a bit better deal all the time. But just the last deal Brian made was to sort of, we signed up for 9 years, so there you go. Yeah, I've explained the philosophical content behind the bread.
If I can stay for 3 days, maybe I'll...
10 days.
Some effect. 10 days. What do you
10?
do after that?
Well, then you eat macrobiotic food, you know, which is quite easy to get. You get some from the health shop, some from in there, local farm, you know, find it. It's mainly untouched by human chemicals, the joke. But no meat, no milk, no sugar. It sounds impossible, it's easy. Once you got the buzz, you don't want to lose it.
I'm lucky because near where I live in Nottingham Bay, there's macrobiotic bread. It's quite expensive.
They've got, you know, it's that free food and
They
meal.
have to make it themselves today.
One meal or soup, bread and spread, you know, they'll always give you something to eat. But it costs them so much to get because it's hard to get it and there's so few people eating it, you know.
There's
So,
that place, you know, the Dragon in... Good value work, it's fantastically expensive.
well, that's not macrobiotic. Letters I got from the balloons are sent out and you and your Jap bastard and all that. And photographs of what was going on there.
Did you get much response?
Oh yeah. And from the gentlemen of the press and all that. We should stick to yodeling. What?
Lennon diary.
Well, it was a diary I'm bringing out, but it's going out in America, isn't it? So I won't see it here for a bit.
Oh, the best thing in that thing, you know, a lot of good things, but the best thing was that one dog. You know, 'cause we-
Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel. As we were putting you to sleep at 3 o'clock. Oh my God, that was really horrible. And you must have been in a bad mood then.
No, I just write them, and then they all sort of end up like that, you know. I don't have to be in a bad mood to write like that.
Tacky one, I'll agree with you.
Oh, that's a very early one.
But you seem to be, you know, some of your, well, I don't know which songs you write, but a lot of the writing stuff seems to be very bitter.
Yeah, well,
You had that period, don't you?
I've still got it.
The chip.
Chip on the shoe.
Well, it's a chip we've all got, the thing we've been talking about all day, you know, is what I'm talking about. Whether it's just in a man-woman relationship or man-establishment relationship, it's that, you know, that's what the chip is. It manifests itself in many different forms. It's the same old chip.
But if anyone should have escaped from it, or could have escaped from it,
Let us know.
you.
Yeah, but I mean, I can escape from bringing out 2 virgins and getting ostracised for it. if I don't want to, I'm not doing it and just live on the income from yesterday for the rest of my life, But I don't want to do that. It wouldn't satisfy me anyway. I'm still in fighting for the same thing that I was fighting about as a kid.
Exactly. What do the others do?
They're all doing their bit, George is out in the States, just sort of reconnecting with Dylan and a few people out there that we sort of lost touch with. Seeing if we can pick up the label, There's a great record he's got, which God knows how we'll release it, The King of Fuck. And it's just fantastic, by a fellow called Brute Force. And it's on Hail the Fuck King, and it's just very good bit, it's very good. So we're hoping to put that out one way or another. All hail the king.
Is that the article which says that, the reason why you got on this drug thing is because you defended the establishment? Is that in that article?
Oh, yeah, that was in the Black Dwarf thing.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, he's probably right that earlier on the mock top thing was preventing us getting busted, because we were open about it years ago, it was common knowledge. And then I don't really know the reason why they suddenly busted me now, probably because they've been waving me flag a bit, that's all. Like Two Virgins and various other things. But see, this guy is one of those, the Stones are changing it, you're not, one of them. The Stones and I are great mates, but the Stones did pull back their album cover, So tell him that, it's not against Mick, it's against him. I'm sick of this sort of, what is it, petty, thing that's been going on for years. It used to be, the Stones do that, you do this, when we were with the fans and that. But now it's all down to these revolutionaries, And the thing is, the Stones and I are close, and where's he? Well, this is the one to the Black Dwarf, it'll get you going.
That's another thing what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Street fighting groups versus the capitalistic people.
Yeah. Well, they'll see, See, I'm not here to change them. They can get on with it, Let them break down a few decent spaces and that and see where it gets them. But I tell you what, if those people start the revolution, me and the Stones are probably the first ones that they'll shoot. I mean that. It's just the kind of thing they do, like, Lennon or whoever, no, not Lennon, just whoever, the ones that are really doing it get shot, And they think it's the guy that wrote the letter that'll do it, They'd shoot me just for living here, That's the kind of Christian communist attitude they've got, we're all one, brother, but you can't live here. He's talking about the Stones and the Who and how they came bursting out. He's forgotten to mention that if it wasn't for us, the Stones and the Who would never have been allowed out. Amazing.
I don't like going.
These people are so bitter, all of them. And they're holding the whole thing back by their quibbling about. They're already, they're showing with what they write and how they say it, how they can never run a new scene, because they're already quibbling about, before we've even done anything, they're quibbling about who's doing what, and who's the ethnic one and who isn't. And let them go and talk to the Stones, the Who, Dylan, me, Yoko, Andy Warhol, anybody that's doing anything doesn't think like this. And that's what none of them can understand, is that they're the ones that are holding it back by creating, breaking it up in the ranks already, before anything is even moved forward off and into some fools like this and trying to get it into another bag before we've even burst the old bag.
Yeah, the problem is with the people who have the ideas, like you and Marx and Jesus and God knows what, and then you have
Marx and Jesus. Yeah, okay.
And then you have the people who push these ideas. Now, Jesus and Marx, his ideas, Lennon, themselves being pushed. But you say, right, you don't push the next step by gently spreading them. And this is why yours has more chance of success. Because of Christianity now, I mean, it's a good idea once,
Yeah.
but look at the buggers who are in charge, you know, it's ridiculous. And the same with communism. And the same with this business. I mean,
Same goes for capitalism, probably. The idea was, I don't know who thought of it. But the idea, I don't see what is capitalism, like, you know, I don't really know I don't get communism and Christianity, but capitalism is just like, it seems to cover everything else. No.
It's not an ideology, it's just a method of economic, you know.
But some of the Conservatives would have it that it is an ideology, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they all sort of revere it as something unknown, you know, which runs through the whole thing, which is natural for men to do to each other. Sort of.
Yeah, I'm not sure, you know, because I'm anti them all, you know. I don't believe any of them are doing it. But I don't want to get in any bag about capitalism and communism.
But even the little ones, you know, well, Tarikalian people, they're all just self-seeking, sort of, you know, they haven't got anything to offer, they just want to get well known and get...
Well, I think some of them must
Well,
have
some of them, they believe, like
maybe
St. Paul, he cocked up Christianity a lot, I believe. You know, but he thought he was doing it right, you know, like all these sort of mad Tories and the mad socialists, you know, they think they're doing it right, and that's the frightening bit. It's all right if you're up against somebody who knows he's a bastard and he's doing it because he's a bastard, you know, and he's out to get you. But it's these sort of fanatics like Paisley in Ireland and the ones here, Powell or whoever the equivalents are over here, who believe they're doing right, you know, and they're the frightening ones, and the same housewives and everything who are booing and shouting at the murderess in the case and would kill her on the spot, and all the different things. All those people that don't know what they're doing, that's what frightening quantity is, the people that don't realise what they're up to. You know, the people who, if you just know where they're at, well, you know what to do about it.
It brings up the question of, seems to me what you're coming to now is rather incorporating more social information, you know, the passing of information, which, I don't know, would you term art now anymore, or is it? There seem to be two ways of going about describing what people think as art is in the past. Like saying what's wrong with the society at the time. Another part is just analysing the great things about life, you know, and so, you know, just holding out and saying, this is the thing that comes out of a large montage of what they behold, you know. But it seems to me that there seems to be a tendency of just knocking what everything is and telling people what's wrong, and out of that will come nothing but just the apprehension of what's wrong.
Yeah, and I think that's what this guy's doing.
Yeah, but
you know,
but you don't see that you.
I don't think I'm doing that. Because I'm not saying what's going wrong, you know. I'm doing the montage bit, you know, just reflecting as fast as I can, you know, reflecting what happens to me.
This is what you get from them tonight.
You know, and like the You Are Here film and the press cuttings, anything like that. I'm trying to get them out to show people what's coming at me. You know, that's one little piece of the montage, and I'm trying to put that out all the time to show them my relationship with all these people, you know. I know the bag you can get it out in, you know. I don't, you know, there's no such thing as art either, but we just got to use the word. If only we were in with the establishment, we would have had a damn sight easier rolling Muldoon.
What about the question of Apple?
Well,
I mean, do you think there is anything to be answered at all by what he accuses you of?
I've forgotten what he said. What did he say?
In that letter about, you know, creating the hierarchy again, the organisation. I mean,
there's a danger of creating that.
Alienation.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a danger, but that's, you know, so we're not going to just not do it, you know. The thing what Apple basically was originally was so as we could control our own records and completely. And then we got this idea, oh, if we could do this, and we tried to do a million things at once, you know. And it was all idealism, and now we're getting back to, we just got to get a record company, and possibly electronics, so we just happen to know this guy who seems to be turning out this mad stuff. And it's down to that. You know, at first it was going to be everything, you know, and we're going to lose, you know, it'll give the guy a laugh, because we either make or break in the next 3 months. It'll either just all collapse, and we'll all be broke, and it'll make them all happy, and they'll think we're ethnic again, and we'll be acceptable. Or it'll break even, you know, and it'll be a record company that he'll be getting all his records, the ones he wants from America through, because all those people want to be with us.
It'll help you there, without issue version 1.
Yeah, I mean, just to have control of our own records is the bit, but we still have the tie-up with the EMI, so we have to do that anyway. But just to channel some things through, you know, to have some kind of, just for the workers, and we are the workers, to control what we put out, that's all we're trying to do. And at first we're trying to do a big conceptual idealistic thing which we found impossible, and Apple hasn't made any money yet. You know, it's just a complete loss, you know, and it's one of the biggest laughs to the establishment. You know, the real establishment are dying for it to break. You know, they don't want anybody like us in the scene, you know.
Yeah, do you care if it breaks?
I care that it breaks because our idealism is real, and we'd like it to be something that helped other people as well as helping ourselves, and that brought out records that people want. And but it's just, if it breaks, you know, oobla dee, oobla da, you know. And it's just that, and that's my attitude all down the line, you know, whatever will be, but not the bit about just sitting in the shit and hoping, you know, accepting the will of Allah. Yeah. Because you do have a choice of some kind. But if it breaks, it breaks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not going to break me, you know. I'm not Apple, you know.
Got through quite long now, haven't
I think he might get his wish here. I hope they get so fucked up with their money. He might be right. For obscurity, Ronald, Roland, you've missed.
What would happen? You'd be just the same. I mean, the fact...
Sure I would, you know.
Yeah, but the fact...
I mean, I've lost a fortune this year on friends, relatives and divorces, you know. Compared to the other Beatles, I'm like broke. You know, that's true, it's just a laugh, you know. I don't give a shit.
You would if you didn't have it.
I will, I hadn't not had it, you know. How many years have I had it? 23 years without it and 4 years with it, right? I've got the ability to earn me living anyway. You know, I don't need Beatles or Apple. You know, I don't rely on them to provide me with a living. I can live, you know, I've lived all my life without being in any bag, you know. And I'll continue, whatever happens to Beatles or Apple, you know. That's what the trouble is with these people and anybody that's putting us down on that level, you know. We're not, the Beatles is a non-existent concept, and so is that there's a few people who got together to do something like, you know. And the Black Dwarf doesn't exist either, it's just a few people, you know. And that's what the Beatles is, but I'm not going to live or die by whatever happens to the Beatles, England, the world, or anything. It makes no odds. You know, I believe in the inside bit, you know.
Do you ever sort of lie in bed at night and think, Christ, what the hell's going on, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, about once a week. Yeah.
And I mean about your success and about...
I don't think about my success. I think that the success I've had is to enable me to do what I'm going to do from now on.
What, you think it's sort of predestined, do you think?
I don't know about predestined, I was saying about the luck and that bit. I think you get a choice, you know, of which path you're going to take, but there's only like a couple of them, a couple of paths, you know. And I think the path that I took through music was the path that took me here, you know. And until I was 14 and that, the path was going to be art or writing, you know, but there was just that choice at about 18, 20 or something, and it was music, and music brought me here, you know, but it's only to enable me to do whatever I'm doing now.
Were you ever really unhappy when you were rushing around making money, you know?
Oh, that was the most miserable time of our lives, was the top MBE cop-out period. was the
Imagine
torture,
today, yeah.
you know,
So
and that's why we
confined to
dropped
your
touring.
hotel rooms.
It just wasn't even the physical fact, it was the thing that we were put through to get where that we earned, you know.
But it's
was-
free,
Oh yeah, but it's put me back where I started, you know. That's what I'm saying, it wasn't worth the run. It wasn't worth the MBE and that, or whatever happened then. Yeah, but it was in retrospect, but it wasn't, you know, anybody listening or gonna read it, don't bother, you know, because you're back where you started. Just play it by ear, but forget about making it, you know. There's nothing to make. And if we hadn't, I could never have done it alone, that, you know. There was always had to be one of us carrying it at the time to do the compromise. Everybody else was just fucked up. Everyone else was in such a state that we had to take it in shifts to be the mop top. You know, and you look back on all them old photos, there's usually 3 faces or 2, and just one that, you know, it was the real, what happened then is the story beyond me, and it was really hard grind, you know, and it was a joke, you know. I mean, we dropped it as soon as we got a moment to think about it. It was just like that, and then we just stopped it for a second, got off, and stayed off, you know. And that was about 2 or 3 years ago.
People were very upset about that.
Yeah, but I mean, they'd want us to carry on like Flanagan or Allen, the wheeling them on at 81, you know. I mean, but that's what they don't. They still think we're that, you know. They still have. Those are the people that haven't realised that we're not your all-round boy next door entertainer. Never have been, you know. But it is. I mean, that's what they want, you know. The Crazy Gang or the Marx Brothers or something.
Do you like entertainment?
Yeah, I like all sorts, you know. I can watch anything. Depends what mood I'm in, you know. But I don't go and see many films, you know. I prefer to go and see something that I've done especially to see.
Then you get worked up about pretentious films.
I try not to get worked up about it, you know, because it's a waste of energy. But I do, you know, when I see it, you know, all that, but I try not to let it carry through that, because I believe in conserving your energy. And the more you control your emotion, and not control it like restricting yourself, but why waste your time on it? You know, there's always going to be Engelbert Humperdinck, and it doesn't matter, you know. I don't agree with the people that knock Engelbert Humperdinck just because he's doing that, you know, or just because he's not singing Street Fighting Man, you know, is a narrow concept of life, you know. It's fascism.
Yeah.
You know, that is complete fascism.
Yes,
And what's wrong with Housewives and Engelbert Humperdinck? I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want anything to do with it. But I'm not going to denigrate the people. I'm not such a snob as to denigrate the people that want to listen to that, or George Formby or anything, you know. And here, this guy will be listening to Engelbert Humperdinck when he's 60 as a bit of camp, you know, and he'll think it's in, or maybe it'll be Ken Tynan, I don't know. But, you know, the whole thing will evolve in that circle. But who's anybody to say that Engelbert Humperdinck isn't as valid as anything else, you know? Why go on about it and waste your energy? Just dig what you like, dig what you dig, and let other people dig what they dig, you know. They're all just snobs about it. And most of the snobs are the young creative snobs, you know, the ones that are just listening and forming their little clubs.
That's the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
So you believe it would come out in the end? You know, the good things would come out as a natural thing?
Well, you know, I'll go through, you know, despair and hopefulness, you know, and I try and hang on to the hopeful bit. Otherwise, there's just no point at all, you know. I mean, I really don't think there's really no point to our music or Yoko's art or my art or anything when I get down to it. On one hand, you know, it's just, oh, what's the use? You know, what are we up against? But there is a point, because the Blue Meanies are working at it like mad, you know. And that's the only point, you know.
Also, you enjoy it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
How do you go about writing the songs?
Well, we haven't written together since Pepper, really,
Oh.
because we're sort of vaguely in India. We were writing a bit together, but it was this album we wrote least of all together, just because of circumstances and all that, you know, or maybe we didn't feel like it. I don't know what. But it was. But we do it anyway. Any combination you can think of, we do it. You know, from a line to from nothing. Like Birthday was written in the studio from nothing. Let's do one like that. You know, we did it. And it could just, there's no way of describing, you know, unless I go into sort of, and when we wrote this, I was on piano and he was on the guitar, and then it's all right, that kind of talk, but I've said it all, you know, somewhere or other, and it's just a bit of a hassle to say it. You know, I can have a verse of a song and we write it from then, and actually just read the Rolling Stone article, there's quite a lot about it in there. Because I went through it a bit just about the album and different things.
What's that in?
Rolling Stone, have you heard it? It's a good paper.
Oh, Rolling Stone magazine?
Yeah. Well, it's the one that's carried our two virgins. Or is it expensive?
That's it, you see. You say it's no good.
Well, I mean, you can steal something like this. I mean, when I didn't have it, I just took it, you know. And especially papers and anything like that, you know. How much is it? 3 and 6? Well, it is to me, isn't it? Well, yeah, I didn't have this one then. Suppose I've got another somewhere. Shouldn't have it. Oh, I think the inside's missing.
Oh yeah, actually got that picture of that.
Yeah. Oh, International Times wouldn't take the front cover photo unless we gave them an indemnity against it, you know. They're so established. Amazing. But this paper just took it, you know, and this paper was cooled by it because they've had the biggest circulation they ever had, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where they missed out. They might, if you want to sort of get into the song bit, they won't care if you pinch their article or pinch bits out of it, you know, if you want to get because there's a lot about the songs and different things like that in it.
Can I take a few pictures?
Yes. John,
I'm
see
talking.
Oh. That's okay.
Oh Christ.
It's all right, you know. I'm rich with ciggies.
No.
Does Ringo still take photos?
Yeah.
You live around here?
No, he's moved.
How many cats have you got?
7 or 8. They breed like cats, I don't know.
They do, don't
All over the landing.
Do you ever use the swimming pool for swimming?
I did when it's sunny, you know. But I'm hoping some established pop star will buy it, but they're all buying the other ones, don't they? Old Engelbert and old Tom Jones moving up here, and they won't buy it. I don't know what's the matter. I had it specially designed for Hollywood star living, and I can't get rid of it.
What, just the swimming pool or the whole house?
No, the pool. Yeah. I was conned by some firm, said they were going to build me a covered one, but after they built it, they said we can't build a cover. You know, amazing con people around. With a capital T. We've got more of this, haven't we?
Well, we can get
Yeah, okay.
everything.
It's 3 and 6, you know, it's a bit...
Oh, and also I'll give you this rough copy that has something about the handout for our film number 5 and what we did. Has a writing by John. That's the only copy I have now here, so I have to get more.
I wonder what that guy will say when the Stones record company comes out. Really trying.
Record company?
Yeah, they're bringing out Mother Earth soon. They've got an Apple round the corner, just their publicity with big offices. All that.
That was fantastic when you gave away all that stuff.
It was a happening, but it was written up as a kind of madness, you know. But it was a great happening. If Yoko had done it, it would have been, you know, a piece of artwork. But we did it, and they said we were daft. That was one closing down of one section. We just couldn't handle all that. It was just turned into that, into a money-making thing, and we're all in it to make money. As long as it breaks even, you know, and that will do, you know. But it's not even breaking even. I think Mary Hopkins should sew it up though, with that. Records all over the place.
Did you bring signs in the
Well, Derek did, our sort of press guy, you know. Yeah, well, it's good for the fans too, you know. I mean, that's a special contract with them.
Yeah.
They get exclusive that nobody else gets, but the ones that sort of still into that being in a fan club group, you know. But in America, they just broadcast it like a normal record, you know.
They do?
Yeah.
They print it like that?
No. We didn't used to release it in the States because it's too expensive and giving it away and that. Millions in the States. So, but we're doing it this year. I don't know how it got less expensive, but they're doing it.
What do you think of your fans? Do you think it's still old-fashioned love of that?
Well, it's up to them, you know. If they get anything out of it, you know. I never joined any fan clubs. But if they want to, you know, if they want to get Beatles pics and all that stuff that the fan club gives out, you know. I mean, we just can't control the fan club. You know,
It's separate, is it?
well, no, it's just, it'd be too much for us to put out what we'd like them to really get, you know. I mean, we try a bit and try and change Beatlebook a little and things like that, but we can't do it all, you know. I mean, they're all byproducts of what we are, you know.
You see that as something separate?
No, it's just a byproduct, you know, just a, yeah, and it's not harmful, and nobody's conned by it, and we just check out and see it, hope that they're all getting the letters they wrote in and getting an answer, and you know, they're getting what they want from it. That's about all we can do.
You let the same thing to you?
No, I mean, we couldn't handle them. A lot of them get just right straight to us anyway. I answer anything they got stamped addressed envelope, they usually want an autograph. But otherwise, it's just, you spend all your life answering, you know, still, where do you get the name Beatles and all that.
Do you have a stick?
About the hair.
Well, we have a girl working for the two of us, but not to if I get a stack of fan letters, I'll send them to the fan club, you know. But I don't get many just to the house, you know, just because we never know where I am these days. Hospital or prison.
Oh, there's something in that Rolling Stone that you're doing some free food.
No, it's just I think we're going to we might make a live album next, about January or something. And then we just let whoever gets there in free, probably. Just be that, you know. It's built up into a tour of the States free with charities, and they're all writing already saying, I'm an old age pensioner with 50 stone legs, and my husband died, and he was a musician, and like that. Gets into all that. So.
You don't feel, any obligation to the society for putting you where you are?
No, I put me where I am, you know. I've only got myself to blame.
A lot of people have it. That's good. Well, I mean, there are a lot of these people like Hendra, but I think some people actually feel, oh, you know, the lovely public I live in my life.
Well, you say it, you know. I mean, those people do owe them their life, because that is their life, you know. And that they'll revolve around it probably for the rest of their life, you know, in one form or another. So to them, the public is that. And even though a lot of it's just a lot of PR whitewash, you know, my great public and that. We did a lot of that when we were hating the public, you know, in the madhouse days. So we were under such pressure, we didn't give a damn about anybody, just surviving. And but we'd say, oh, it's great, you know, we love the fans, just get them off me, root from me, God, me back, you know, anything, get away from me, like that. But there's a lot of those people, you know, I think Frankie Vaughan's one, that mean it, you know, and they're trying to do the bit, and good luck to them, and they mean it, you know. But I've never owed anything to the public, you know. I mean, I bring out a product and they buy it. You know?
Yeah.
It's like that. You know? I never expected Mr. Rolls Royce or Mr. Mini to allow me to sleep in his garden or have anything else, you know. I don't expect anything from him, but the product he puts out, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not for sale. The products are. You know.
Yeah. Get in trouble from fans still.
Now and then, you know, there's some bird here last night. There was a bit of trouble, wasn't it? Just some bird suddenly turned out. She said she was out of a mental home in Holland or something. And at first I said, well, come on, what do you want? She said, I've come all the way from Holland, which a lot of them do as justification of, you know, now I'm your responsibility. So I said, okay, you've come from Holland, you know. What are you going to do now, you know? And she just sort of, I thought she'd had on a trip or something was wrong with her. So we just sort of fed her, and I got the driver to take her to the embassy or to the macro restaurant, whichever she wanted to go to.
You tried to turn her on to macrobiotics, you know.
Because she said she'd had mental trouble and that, which is probably true, but you know, the macro thing would cure that. I believe that. So maybe she should try. We gave her a few bags of rice and sent her off on a few addresses in Holland or Belgium. In touch with.
You don't sort of feel worried, it's just like that the same sort of thing. You believe that they're, say, practical or Engelbert, that the thing that you're doing is the same with the fan club by sustaining that sort of.
Yeah, well, we had the decision of whether to keep a fan club or not, you know, since we stopped sort of being mock-tops, as it were, 2 years ago, you know. It would have been suitable for us not to have the fan club. It doesn't give us anything. We don't earn from it. We don't get anything creative from it. But the point was to stop it just because we didn't really have anything to do with it. Or because, or what, you know, to weigh it up, whether we should take, if they wanted a fan club, you know, to let them have it, you know, it's just like that. And we thought of just packing it in, you know, we don't need fan club, Beatles book or anything, you know. But the thing is, I think they want it, you know, and until they don't want it, we'll let it run, you know. It's just like that. I can't see the point of stopping it just because we're not to do with it, which we never were, you know. I mean, it was a good thing to have fan clubs, you know, and it was a part of the deal, you know, that it was a bag, you know, that we gave them a flag to wave, you know, and you each had your fan clubs and that. But it was the point of whether to just stop it because it didn't mean anything to us as people. Only that, you know, it's nice for people to be in your fan club and that. But apart from that, it's nothing, you know. So I think it'd be tight to just stop it if they want it, you know. If there's still 20,000 or so waiting for news from Tony Barrow or whoever it is, and that just tells them what we're doing or where we are, you know. And we just make sure they get the first information of what we're doing, you know. So it gives them that. So whether to stop it or not is that, you know, why stop it? Because we went through it to think, well, stop it, you know. I mean, it's not morally right, we're not to do with it, and, you know, we don't owe them a fan club, and you know, why should we bother with it? But it's no skin off our nose to have it.
It's convenient too to have it though, because otherwise there'll be letters for him and all that, and you have to always...
Well, there's that too, I suppose, yeah, but then...
takes care of it too.
Then we'd have to either dispose of the letters or try and answer them or whatever, you know, or maybe there wouldn't be any letters if there wasn't a fan club, you know, or less of them. I don't know, it's just that choice, you know. As long as it's wanted and it doesn't do anything, then let them have a fan club.
You sort of don't care as long as it's sort of enjoying.
Yeah. I believe in that, you know, just for the sake of enjoyment, apart from any messages and changing the world, just pure circus, you know.
Does it matter to you that you can't sort of wander around in comfort?
It does a bit, you know, but it is like they say, the price of fame, and it matters a lot to me not to be able to go around. And I keep dreaming of the time that I might be able to get around. I could cut all my hair off and get around for a few weeks till they spotted me. Or I could disguise myself, but I don't want to. I'm me, and I look like this because I like being like this. You know? And so I've been through all the reasons or how I could do it, and I don't enjoy it at all. You know, not being able to do things. You know, but that's the price, you know. And it's too late to change it. You know.
absolutely you would you?
I don't know what I'd do, you know, if I had to do it again. You know, I don't know whether... See, if to do it again would mean I'd have the experience I've had now, so obviously I'd do it differently.
Yeah.
So as I wasn't so well known as a person, you know, I'd do it.
Would you spend less time as a mock top?
Oh yeah, I would have skipped the mock top bit altogether, retrospectively speaking.
You couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't do it again because it was
No,
yeah.
there's no way of, you know, it's just speculation, just to talk about it.
You want to wrap up that?
I resent performing for your fuckers. Tell me, what do you know? A lot of faggot middle-class kids wearing long hair and trendy clothes. Look, I'm not your fucking parents, and I'm sick of uptight hippies coming knocking at me door with a fucking peace symbol. Get this fat fat. I don't owe you fuckers anything, and all I got to say is fuck you. The sky is blue, and Mick Jagger, I think that makes a joke with all his stupid faggot dancing. I always did. Wiggling his ass, you know, it's just a lot of bullshit. And where does he come off saying all those tardy things about the Beatles, when every fucking thing we ever did we tried to copy? And you know we even wrote his second fucking record for him. No, the Stones aren't in the same fucking class as the Beatles, either music-wise or power-wise. They never ever were. Pardon me, sir. Paul said he hated Yoko. Tell me, why should Yoko have to take that kind of shit? Shit from those fucking sons of bitches. George said she gave off evil vibes. I should have beat the fucking shit right out of him. Him with his fucking Hare Krishna. Me auntie, she tore up me fucking bones. She just threw the bastards out. I can't forgive her cause she didn't treat me like a fucking genius. Look, you bastards, I'm a genius like Shakespeare and Beethoven and Van Gogh. Don't you dare criticize my work. Don't worry, Kyoko was one of the fucking best rock and roll records ever made. I'm a fucking artist. I'm sensitive as shit. I throw up before I go on stage. I can make a guitar speak. If I could be a fisherman I would, but I can't because I'm a fucking genius. I was the walrus. Paul wasn't the walrus. I was just saying that to be nice, but I was actually the walrus. Even that rubbish he's been singing. Eastman was an animal. A fucking stupid middle-class pig. I won't let fucking animals like that near me. Yoko is a supreme intellectual. I'll tell you why nobody likes her music. Because she's a woman and she's oriental, that's why. Where are you, mother? We're trying to crucify me. Genius is pain. 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 Ah! Oh! Genius is pain. Genius is pain. Ah! Ooh! Ah! Ah! Genius is pain. Ooh! Ah! Ah! Pain. Genius. Left in Iceland!